My name is Dan Mitchell of the Cato Institute. I just want to make a couple of points. Echoing something Brian said, the federal government this year is expected to collect more than $2.2 trillion. The interest on the debt this year is supposed to be about $207 billion. Now, even if we assume that the government forecasts are a little bit off like they usually are, there obviously is more than enough money to pay every single penny of interest on the debt. This is not an issue about default. The Treasury Secretary is being deceitful. The Fed Chairman is being very misleading on this issue as well. Default is not the issue. The issue is whether or not we get government spending under control. I want to make one very important point about this. The deficit and the debt are the symptoms. The underlying problem is a government that is too big, and it's been a bipartisan problem. During the 8 years of the Bush administration, government spending exploded from $1.8 trillion to $3.5 trillion. Obama promised change, but he grabbed the baton and he raced in the same direction with a fake stimulus and Obamacare. That's why we're in a fiscal ditch, because government, under Republicans and Democrats over the last decade, since we had the surplus Brian was talking about, government spending has exploded. The question is, how do we get out of the mess? If you look at the budget forecast, it's very simple. According to the Congressional Budget Office, revenues are going to increase by an average of about 7% a year over the next 10 years, and that's assuming the tax cuts are permanent. So if revenues are growing 7% a year, it doesn't take a math genius to realize that you reduce red ink if spending grows by less than 7% a year. If we froze spending at the current level, which is what the Canadians did in the 1990s to go from a 10% of GDP deficit to a budget surplus, if we did what the Canadians did in the 1990s, we'd balance the budget by 2017. But even if you let government spending grow by 2% a year, you balance the budget by 2021. And what are our options for achieving that modest bit of fiscal discipline? I mean, I wish we would cut spending, but all we have to do is limit the growth to get to that balanced budget. Unfortunately, there's very few leverage points. The debt limit is one of them. If the debt limit goes through without using that leverage to impose some modest bit of fiscal discipline to get us on a track record to undo the mistakes of Bush and Obama for the last 10 years, we will have done a great disservice to our children and grandchildren. Thank you.